Oh, baby. Oh my God. You're thinking you took too much fentanyl this morning and you died and you went to heaven and you're there with the Lord Jesus Christ and God and St. Peter and all of them. And you're like, this is great. I died. I went to heaven. I'm going to be forever with the Lord Jesus and, Moses and all the Israelites. And, it's awesome. I'm in heaven. I'm like, sorry. You're not in heaven, my friend. You're alive on earth. You didn't die. You're just at the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255. That's where you are, my friend. You're just sitting at home on YouTube, having a cup of coffee, and you're like, fuck. You mean I'm not dead? I'm like, no, sir. You're with Clark the Shark MC, the master of disaster. Little Steven thinks, well, Clark the Shark, I got the underground garage. I play albums by Dave Clark 5, and, I've been around Clark the Shark. I'm the guitar player for Bruce Springsteen. And I'm like, Little Steven and your underground jive, you don't know Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255, because you may have that black guy on sax. He's the master of disaster or whatever. But Clark the Shark takes it to another level, baby. Because, I don't know, man. I can't put my finger on what it is about Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. Coming to you live from the golden EIB Sharkraphone, Los Angeles. And when you're listening to oldies, you're listening to 95.4 Clark the Shark, the man with the golden voice, Don Pardo. Clark the Shark, 1-800-449-8255, the man with the golden voice. I'm basically homeless like that black guy. Lucky for me, I got a home. I got something here. Rent's $3,000, $4,000 a month here in Los Angeles, and they got people from El Salvador, 9 people in the apartment, and they're like, sorry, Clark the Shark, we need a place to live too, and there's 9 of us, and we'll pay $4,000 a month at 1-800-449-8255. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. You can come here from Belize, you can come here from Israel, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Egypt, Ukraine, Pakistan, India. I don't care, because I love all people. I'm Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. I don't judge. You can make me homeless. You can have me live in a tent under a freeway, because you're not going to stop me from reviewing the greatest rock and roll albums, like this one by a guy named Andy Warhol back in the 1960s. This amazing album with the banana, Lou Reed and NICO, the Velvet Underground. And I bought this album when I was 12, 1977. 12 or 13, 1978. I even bought this shirt, had a banana on it, man. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was 12, I was 13, but I wanted to learn about Lou Reed. And there was a kid at Newton School. I wasn't even in South High yet. Punk rock was breaking out, but, when we're 12, there's only a few kids that knew about punk. There was a kid named Jim Moody at Newton. He knew about punk, and I was just trying to learn about punk. There wasn't really a punk scene yet. You had to listen to the Sex Pistols and the Damned and the Clash, and that stuff was good, but it was, I don't know, even at 12 in 1977, I could detect there was something kind of generic about the Sex Pistols. I mean, it was fucking cool, but, I was still like, if I'm going to listen to weird shit, I'm just going to listen to Bowie. And there was a kid named Jim Aviani at Newton School, Torrance. 1977, 78, we were 12, 13, and Jim Aviani already knew about David Bowie, the Talking Heads. This kid was ahead of Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. And I went home and I looked myself in the mirror and I said, I'm going to learn everything about David Bowie. I got to keep up with Jim Aviani. This kid was really cultured, man. He even knew about like DJ and all these weird songs. Like he knew everything about David Bowie, Low, and Scary Monsters and Heroes and Station to Station. And I was like, man, I'll never be as smart as Jim Aviani. That kid knows David Bowie better than my brother Paul at 1-800-449-8255. And there were other kids too. There was this girl at Newton in like 1976, 77, 78. I was 11, 12, 13, and she cut her hair like David Bowie. And she was talking to me, telling me about David Bowie, and it was like she was speaking Chinese. Because my brother Paul would play Aladdin Sane and, 1972, all the shit was Ziggy Stardust and Hunky Dory. But she knew about the newer David Bowie. And I was like, man, I got to learn about all David Bowie. I already knew about, Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars at 1-800-449-8255. But I learned you got to know about Low. You got to know about those newer David Bowie. And when a new Bowie album would come out at Newton School, there were kids. There was maybe 3 or 4 kids. Of course, Jim Aviani knew. But that girl, I don't even remember her name, but she cut her hair like David Bowie. And she wore David Bowie shirts to school at Newton. This chick was just way ahead of her time. And I was like, man, I am not going to let these people be ahead of Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. You know what I'm going to go do? I'm going to go learn about Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, and I'm going to top them. And I went to this record store, the corner of Cali Mayer and PCH. Today there's a Ralph's right by South High on the corner. I'm 12 years old. I'm like, gimme the fucking Velvet Underground, motherfucker, right now. Because I'm going to be the most cultured douchebag little brat in school. And the guy's like, I can't sell it to you. There's banana on the cover. At 1-800-449-8255. And I'm like, I don't care. Give me that fucking shit. I'm buying it. And he's like, whatever. And for like $6, $7, I bought this vinyl. I went home and I played it. And I was like, what is this shit? I don't like this. And I played it over and over trying to like it. And for years I was like, I have to like Lou Reed, man. I have to like this guy. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. But I was like, I can't like this. It's lame. This fucking guy sucks. I want to listen to Bowie. I want to listen to the Stooges and Iggy Pop and the Ramones. I don't want to listen to this Lou Reed fucking creep. This guy's lame. He can't sing. I hate it. It took me a long time to make the adjustment to the Velvet Underground and NICO. But one day, when I was like maybe 14... it was like 1979, 1980, 15. I put this album on, and I finally got it. And I was like, okay, man, I'm coming of age. I understand the Velvet Underground. Of course I understand this genius, Andy Warhol. And, of course it gets all 5 stars. Of course. Fucking amazing. But then, I played Sunday Morning over the years, and I began to say, what an amazing song. Sunday Morning, it's just so great. It's beautiful, it's melodic, and I'm like, how could I have not liked that song? Am I insane? I played that song 10, 20, 30 times and didn't like it. Sunday fucking Morning by Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. And one day I got it, man. And I was like, it's amazing. And Waiting for the Man is just fucking killer. Just some song about Lou just buying a fucking bag of heroin or some weed or some drugs back in the 60s. Great song. And then Femme Fatale is just awesome. Fuck, man. She's a femme fatale. Oh, it's so good. And Venus and Furs is, we all know that's amazing. I'm not even going to review that. It's so fucking awesome. And Run, Run, Run. And of course, All Tomorrow's Parties with NICO. I wish they would have done one or two more albums with NICO. She was amazing. I loved NICO. She's so beautiful and amazing. Heroin, of course, the long 7-minute song is so rock and roll royalty. Heroin is rock and roll royalty, and there she goes again. I've played that song so many times with bands around the South Bay on drums. The Jim Mellon Quartet, and Meat Wagon with Tom Shannon, Tom Freeman and Meat Wagon. Torrance, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, I'll Be Your Mirror, the Black Angels Death Song, amazing. The European Sun, amazing. This album, so ahead of its time, so underground, and yet it's commercial. Sunday Morning could go right on the radio, and in fact it did. Everyone knows about Sunday Morning. That's an amazing song. And Venus and Furs, it's amazing. This whole album, it's, you talk about underground, ahead of its time. And of course, Lou Reed and Frank Zappa didn't like each other because they knew who the competition was. And both of them were in competition with the Who Sell Out. Lou Reed, I wish he would have appreciated Frank Zappa. I wish Frank Zappa would have understood Lou Reed more. But, Frank Zappa would either do a no comment or he'd be like, his band, they don't know how to play their instruments. I mean, come on, that's irrelevant, Frank. And Lou Reed, Zappa's the biggest load of shit. I mean, Lou, you probably didn't even listen to Frank's albums. They were both on Verve Records, of course, so, they're competing for money. They're competing for what little sales and little scraps they can get back in the 60s. I know that. I can dig that. I'm Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255, the Wolfman Jack on crack. I'm coming to you this morning from the golden EIB Sharkerphone, and I'm telling you about this amazing album. And, Jim Aviani, one day, when we were like 16, 17 in the early 80s, I saw him wearing a Lou Reed shirt. I'm like, oh, look at this guy. Now he's into the Velvet Underground. And I remember going up to him when we were just 12, 13. I'm all, dude, do you know about punk? And he's like, no, it's all right. Fuck that shit. And I'm like, cool, this fucking guy don't know about punk yet. But of course, if you're into Bowie, that's like a gateway drug, when you're 12. You're going to get into all that shit like, Black Flag and Greg Ginn and Bad Religion and the Circle Jerks and all that shit, Social Distortion. But for me, that shit's just all kind of generic. I mean, I love it. Of course, I grew up with it. I went to those shows. I was in a punk band when I was 17 called Outlash Control out in Torrance, where, it's legend. Clark the Shark bought his first drum set from that guy named Legion and that girl, with Outlash Control in that garage out there in Torrance. And it was an amazing band. I had an amazing time. But of course, later with Phil Keegan and the Greenhouse Effect, we made history with just amazing songs in 1986, 87, 88. But before that, I played with a guy, Steve Stepanian, with the Soul Clinic, Dave Basin, the amazing bass player. And I knew amazing people like Tom Shannon from Death and Taxes and Technicolor Jan. I miss Tom Shannon, man. Bassist genius, progressive rock master. He was into all the fucking cool shit, man. Tom Shannon. He introduced me to Greg Ginn in person, although of course I already knew about Greg Ginn very well, but I had to jam with Greg Ginn. And I'll never forget, man, out in Redondo Beach at that studio, me and Greg jammed for like 3 hours, 1986, 87, and I didn't even know he was auditioning drummers for Gone. He wasn't sure if he was going to play with Robo or Bill Stevenson or whatever. And I was actually there because I was interested in that project called Gintronics. And I didn't even know about Gone. And at the end of, at the end of jamming, Greg Ginn looks at me and he just says, you're just a mediocre drummer. And you know what? You guys, he's fucking right. I was. Everyone in the South Bay raves about Clark the Shark and Redondo, Torrance, Hermosa Beach. Oh, Clark the Shark's so great on drums. But that's really just a way to keep the Shark down at 1-800-449-8255. But you can't keep Sharky down. Because just like Uriah Heep said, you can't keep a good band down, motherfucker. At 1-800-449-8255, a Clark the Shark show. And I'm talking about Lou Reed. I'm talking about this amazing song, Sunday Morning. Femme Fatale, Heroin, There She Goes Again. I've played that song, There She Goes Again, on drums with so many bands. We all love this album, man. And we all love Lou Reed. And I'll admit, man, Lou Reed, he ain't the coolest guy in the world. And he doesn't, he didn't like the Beatles. He didn't like Frank Zappa. He said he didn't like The Who. But I don't care, man. If, I accept people for who they are, warts and all. And I accept Lou Reed. God bless him. And I hope the Lord understands Lou Reed. Sends that motherfucker to heaven. Because Lou Reed, to me, is like God. He's like Jesus Christ, man. I fucking love Lou Reed. And I love the Velvet Underground. And Jim Aviani, wherever you are, bro, I'm glad you got into Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. And I'm sure, you finally learned there's more than the Talking Heads and Bowie and the Cars and, that fucking crap. At 1-800-449-8255, Clark the Shark Show. I'm just warming up. We're going to do reviews all day today, Saturday, February 25 or 26. I don't care. I want you to go buy this album right now. I want you to support the estate of Lou Reed. Support Andy Warhol. These fucking geniuses. This album cover, so amazing, this banana. And this wasn't really the real album cover of this album. It was this, man. It was like a fucking dick. That's the real cover, man. You peel it off or whatever back in the 60s. It was just so suggestive. It was so sexual. Like, it was gross, man. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. It's just revolting. It's the Velvet Underground. Andy Warhol. Amazing cover. Merry Prankster. Andy Warhol and Lou Reed. And all of them. John Cale, who later produced the Stooges. You gotta love Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. This amazing album. It's more than Sunday Morning. Don't just listen to Sunday Morning. You gotta listen to the whole album. You gotta listen to Heroin. You gotta listen to all these songs, people. And if you're a little kid, you're just 12, you're just 11 right now, you don't have to be a liberal, dude. You don't have to be a Democrat. You don't have to be a leftist. You can love Lou Reed and David Bowie and punk. And dude, you can fucking listen to Clark the Shark on the golden EIB Sharkraphone at 1-800-449-8255. The Clark the Shark Show. You don't got to do what they say, man. The people marching with signs, don't let them order you around. Don't even let Clark the Shark order you around. Don't let nobody order you around but God, man, or your brain. You don't even fucking have to listen to God. You just listen to Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255, and you're going to be okay, man. And listen to Lou Reed. Listen to the Velvet Underground. Learn about punk rock and Iggy Pop and David Bowie, but you got to do it right, man. You had to live it. You just because they bully you, just because your dad's a douchebag, or your big brothers are douchebags, or your friends at school are douchebags, or everyone hates you. Just remember, man, Clark the Shark loves you, bro, whoever you are. Little girl wants to get into punk. Don't go get into shit that Dave Grohl tells you to get into. Fuck that guy. He's fake. He's a phony-ass piece of shit. You listen to Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. That's where you go for your info. All of you young people who are 11, 12, 13, you're never too young. Right now is when you learn about Lou Reed. It helps to be bullied and picked on and hated like Clark the Shark back in the 70s. My family hated me. My dad ignored me. None of the kids at school liked me. I had no friends. I had just one friend, Lou Reed, and the Velvet Underground. I had just two friends, Greg Ginn. I had just three friends, Pete Townsend. I had just four friends, Iggy Pop. Lame, horrible music, distorted, out of tune. The Stooges, horrible. The Who, horrible. They couldn't even play. These are the people that are natural. These are the people who are like, they just, man, sometimes the Who dresses it up with bells and whistles with keyboards, but the Who are still raw. And Lou Reed is raw. Iggy Pop is raw. They want to keep it real. And Clark the Shark wants to keep it real. At 1-800-449-8255. The Clark the Shark Show. The Wolfman Jack on crack. I'm coming to you on a Saturday morning. Not a Sunday morning. Today is Saturday, February 24, 25, 26. I don't care. 2023. But I'm talking to you like the year is 1967, 1966. And we're back in time. And I'm live in the Matrix, a time traveler, and I went back to tell you all about Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. I mean, I love the Doors. Come on, I love Sgt. Pepper, but I love this more. I love Frank Zappa more. I love Lou Reed more than life itself, man. This album means so much to me. I want you to buy this album. I want you to go to iTunes, Spotify, Napster, Amazon Music. I want all of you to buy anything by Lou Reed. Of course, anything by the Velvet Underground. I'm going to review all their albums because, unlike most people, Clark the Shark knows every Lou Reed album. Transformer, all of them. I know them better than anybody. And I don't even like Lou Reed. I think the guy's a douchebag. I would never hang out with this fucking guy. He's a total dick. But I don't care. Because he keeps it real. He's natural. There's nothing fake. There's nothing forced about this douchebag. This complete asshole, Lou Reed. I wouldn't sit with this guy at a table for more than 5 minutes. I can't stand Lou Reed. You know, I don't even think David Bowie liked this guy. He'd be like, I'll produce this record. I don't want to hang out with him. And I don't blame him, man. I don't think Iggy Pop liked Lou Reed. He was like, he could probably just tolerate so much of this fucking guy. But if I could just get Lou Reed to chill out, have a cup of coffee, him and me sit down at a donut shop at Winchell's in Redondo Beach, down there near Catalina or Avenue I, I'd sit down with Winchell's and I'd be like, Lou, dude, you gotta fucking chill, man. You're with Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. I'm on the motherfucking golden EIB Sharker phone, dude. You need to lighten up, Lou. And just fucking... We're going to be bros, and we're going to sit here, drink a cup of coffee. I'm going to fucking tell you I love you, man. He's going to be like, you're fake, you're phony, you're processed, you're prefabricated. Everything about you is false. I'm like, I don't fucking care, dude. Because they picked on you, and they picked on me. And I may not be a genius like you, Lou Reed, but I'm a fucking genius in my own way. And he'll be like, no. You're pre-processed. You're false. You're a South Bay, Redondo Beach, Hollywood Riviera, a little white boy with a silver spoon was in your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. And I'll be like, no, Lou, you fucking don't get Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. I understand you, dude. And I'm one of the few people who really understands what you went through. All of you, John Cale, NICO, every one of you in the band. And he's like, no, you're pre-processed. You don't know. You're a robot. You're fake. You're false. And I'm like, oh, dude, whatever. Say what the fuck you want, Lou, about me. Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. But I'm the Wolfman Jack on crack, and I'm here to tell all of you out there that this album is amazing. Every single song, not just Sunday Morning. Don't listen to that song and then turn off this album, people, because this whole album is important, essential by this maniac, eccentric, autistic weirdo, this fucking freak, Lou Reed. This guy had issues, man. There's always something wrong with this guy. He's always sticking needles in his arms or some shit. And I'm like, Lou, if you're such a man, why don't you fucking try to be sober, dude? And he's like, no, I'm keeping it real. I medicate. And I'm like, whatever. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. And I just gave you the most amazing, incredible, technical breakdown of this album. Because I lived it, man. They picked on me. They even pick on me now, and I'm 58. I can't go hang out with people, or they're going to say shit about Clark the Shark at 1-800-449-8255. And when they pick on you when you're 12, back in 1975, 76, 77, 74, you're 9, 10, 11, 12, let me tell you, man, they will pick on you forever. You can work out. You could be like Roger Daltrey and drink yogurt, take vitamins, and work out at 24-hour fitness. Cut your hair short. Get a spray tan. They're still going to hate you. They're still going to pick on you because they know your soul is underground. They know you're different. And they know you love Lou Reed at 1-800-449-8255. But don't let it get you down. And you don't have to be a liberal. You can be right-wing, liberal, in the middle. You could be like Sean Hannity, or you could be like Rachel Maddow, or you could be like CNN or Fox News. Politics has nothing to do with anything, people. Don't let them tell you you ain't cool if you ain't liberal. Fuck, politics doesn't have a fucking thing to do with nothing. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. Yeah, that's right. You just heard it straight from the Shark. The South Bay, Redondo Beach, Torrance, Hermosa Beach, Lomita. Because I lived it, and everybody knows I lived it. And if you go up to those people, they'll tell you, we don't like Shark. He's full of shit. He never knows what he's talking about. He just runs his mouth. He doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. Well, you know what? I know about Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, motherfucker. At 1-800-449-8255. I know this album better than you or anybody. Don't let him tell you you don't know either. Because you just heard the word of Clark the Shark from the golden EIB Sharkraphone. Coming to you live, people, with the greatest review and the only review that you will ever need of the Velvet Underground and NICO. 1967. Really, this was recorded in 1966, people. This is way ahead of its time. They call it underground, but Sunday Morning is one of the greatest songs in rock and roll. And There She Goes Again, awesome. And Heroin, awesome. And all the little songs in between, awesome, awesome, awesome. Amazing. And you don't have to be a misfit or a douchebag. You can be a jock of football, Fox News, beautiful blonde lady who's gorgeous, and you can still love Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. Clark the Shark excludes no one. If you're good looking and you're popular and everyone loves you and you have friends, you go to church, you believe in the Lord, you listen to Fox News, you listen to Hannity, you used to listen to Hush Bimbo and Michael Savage. Guess what, man? I don't think you people are better. I don't think you people are worse. We're all equal here on planet Earth. Every one of us, liberals, Rachel Maddow, left-wingers, right-wingers, we're all just trying to get to the truth. Don Lemon, Anderson, Pooper, everyone, man. We don't need to disagree. We can agree to disagree, but we can all agree that Lou Reed was a genius and the Velvet Underground were so amazing. Fucking love this album, man. I love this album. And I miss those times, even if people didn't like me. I miss those times because when I was 12, 13, learning about great music. And later on when I'm 15, 16, 17, learning about Greg Ginn, learning about punk. I miss those times, man. I'm old now. I'm 58. But I can cherish the moments now, too. Because now is special. Then is special. It's all special, people. Life is important. Don't kill yourself. Don't think you're so cool that you gotta fucking kill yourself because Lou Reed does smack or they do drugs or Bowie, Lou Reed, and Iggy Pop were so fucked up, and I gotta be fucked up like them. You don't have to be fucked up, man. You don't have to be that, dude. You can go to church. You can fucking still go to church, motherfucker, and worship the Lord and worship Lou Reed at the fucking same time at 1-800-449-8255. Because Jesus was like a socialist. He wanted cheap rent. He wanted apartments to be $950 or $850. He didn't want apartments to be $3,000 a month so that 9 Mexicans or people from Ukraine or Russia can come here. 9 people can live in an apartment and make it $4,000 a month so that people from Torrance and Redondo Beach who were born here naturally, we can't live here anymore. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. Why don't they do rent control and lower the fucking rent for us all so we can all live? People of all colors. We can all live in an apartment. Why do they have to do Section 8 and vouchers and max out our government, state, fed, local, municipal budgets? We don't need Section 8. We just need low rent. And we just need Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground, NICO, produced by Andy Warhol. This cover's amazing. At 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show from the golden EIB Sharkophone. And you just heard the testimony, the word, the most important words, the only thing you'll ever need from Clark the Shark. And I'm out. Peace.